So your first lesson today, I want you to write at the top of your notebook, is a read aloud. So just like last time when we had our character unit, our read aloud was something that we could all come back together on and talk about. So last time we talked about Will, we talked about him becoming popular and read those stories. This time we are going to be reading a story about Vietnam. It is a story called Patrol. It's about an American soldier in Vietnam, and the author is Walter Dean Myers, who actually served in the Vietnam War. And so the main point of today's lesson is that you are starting to kind of work with the beginning of a story. So in every story, be it fiction or nonfiction, you are learning, sorry guys, I'm kind of wobbly, you're learning who the characters are. So what I want you to write down today is that readers of historical fiction do the work that all fiction readers do at the start of a new story, figuring out what kind of character the protagonist is and what is going on. They also figure out the main character's relationship to a particular historical conflict. So the biggest work that you guys are going to be doing at the beginning of your story is figuring out who is my character, where is this taking place, and what's going on. So all of your stories right now really obviously deal with World War II somehow or the Holocaust. And in thinking about that, you're going to notice that a lot of these stories kind of start sometimes in the middle of nowhere. It picks off where they were in their life and what they remember happened to them. What I've noticed about a lot of the stories that I've read about the Holocaust and World War II victims or resistance fighters is that I've had to take time to go back and reread once I've started, because names and places and things kind of come at you quickly, because these stories kind of progress pretty quick in the way that they're told. Obviously, not all of them are going to do that, but it's important that you're thinking about how does my character react in this time and what is it that they're trying to tell me. When we had our character unit, we talked a lot about like who is the character, what are the things that we like about them and we don't like about them, how do they act on the inside versus how are they acting on the outside. We talked about what type of people they are and the types of actions that they make, how that really helps us understand what type of a person that they are. And we need to remember that the author isn't going to come out and say that your character is a liar or a cheater or that they're kind and they're giving. It's something that you need to figure out based on their actions. So that's one of the first things that I want you guys to think about when you start reading your stories today, when you get them, is really who is my character? What types of questions do I have about them? What are they trying to teach me? What type of life are they living? Because understanding that at the beginning of the book is going to help you understand the reasons that they do the things that they do later on in the story. I think one of the biggest things that we're going to start to notice is a little bit different with historical fiction than just realistic fiction or the types of fiction stories that we've been reading in the past this year, is that these stories are based on, for the most part, true events. They're based on things that have happened in history, and therefore we need to pay attention to those small details because those small details end up becoming important. Okay, so at the bottom of your paper today, I want you guys to focus on these two questions. So the story that you're going to hear read out loud is called Patrol, an American soldier in Vietnam, and you're going to get really small chunks read to you at a time. At the bottom of your paper, like I don't have a lot of space, so if you want to use sticky notes and kind of just paste them to answer these questions, that's fine. But I want you to think about what kind of character or what kind of person is the main character in this story, and how do you figure that out? It's a lot of inferencing and reading between the lines. The other thing I want you to think about is what's going on. Historical fiction can come at you quickly, and you really have to infer and read between the lines and pick up on what the author wants you to know, and they might not come right out and say it. So in the first couple sections of the story, I want you to try to answer these questions, and then I want you to continue to try to answer these questions. You might do questions like this in your reflection for your homework tonight in your reflection section.